Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Seamless webinar. I'm Micah, the Content Manager of Seamless Retail and E-commerce. On behalf of the team, we would like to say thank you for joining us today. This session is in partnership with Ajman Free Zone and Sift, so we would like to thank them both for sponsoring today's webinar. The topic that we'll be exploring is building an e-commerce business quickly and efficiently. This session will be moderated by Sowmya Iyer, founder and CEO of DViO Digital. And our panelists who will be sharing the knowledge with us are Athbi Al-Enezi, co-founder of JustClean, Sheikha Nuaimi, Executive Director of Marketing and Sales at Ajman Free Zone, Ammar, CEO of Finalrentals, and we have Leena Khalil, CCO and co-founder of Mumzworld. Before we proceed to the panel discussion, I'd like to remind our webinar attendees that you can ask questions throughout the panel session using the question feature, and we will try to get around to all of your questions. Now, could I please ask all the speakers to turn on the webcam and microphone? And yeah, without further ado, Sowmya, over to you.
Thank you, Micah. All right, so hello everyone. I'm so glad to be moderating this panel on building e-commerce quickly and efficiently. As we all navigate through COVID-19 and its after effects, we do know that human behavior is changing rapidly. Shopping patterns are changing rapidly. Business dynamics are changing rapidly. And really the only option available for most businesses today is either digitize their business or move to e-commerce. I'm very glad to have a brilliant panel with me today to talk to me on this subject. I have founders who have started digital first businesses and are running them successfully. So please join me in welcoming our panelists today. So I have Sheikha Al-Nuaimi, Executive Director of Marketing and Sales of Ajman Free Zone. Sheikha will talk us through the nuances of setting up an e-commerce business. I have Leena Khalil, who's the co-founder of Mumzworld, which is the destination and marketplace for everything mom and babies and parents. I have Athbi Al-Enezi, who's the co-founder of JustClean, which is first of its kind marketplace for laundry services across the region. And I have Ammar Akhtar of Finalrentals, which is one of UAE's leading car rental platforms. And I'm your moderator. My name is Sowmya Iyer. I am the founder, CEO of DViO Digital. DViO is an integrated marketing company with operations in Middle East, Southeast Asia, and India, with a focus on digital and technology. We work with large businesses in e-commerce, in retail, in entertainment, in BFSI, higher education, FMCG. We also run an incubator for ad tech and marketing tech startups. And the core purpose of this incubator is to connect our businesses with these startups so the businesses take advantage of innovative platforms. I'm really looking forward to this conversation today because as we speak, we are actively advising our clients on how to digitize their businesses. And we are also preparing our startups for the COVID and post-COVID era. So moving on quickly, I'd like to invite our panelists to take 2 minutes and introduce themselves and the business that they represent. Sheikha, can we please start with you?
Yes, thank you, Sowmya, for that. And good morning, everybody. I'm really glad to be part of this webinar and to share knowledge with our expertise in the operations of e-commerce. First of all, Ajman Free Zone is an free zone entity that supports businessmen who would like to start their business in UAE and even trading and importing and exporting items. We take care from day one of setting the business till supporting the investors completing their journey, linking them together, helping them in B2B businesses, and even expand their business internationally. So mainly this is the core of the business, and I'm here to support any business that would like to expand, would like to start a business in this pandemic period, which e-commerce is boosting, and it's really booming and increasing as all the features that has been launched by the government has accelerated this speed and this growth. So this is mainly, intro, and we'll be sharing the next in the coming period.
Thank you, Sheikha. Leena, can I ask you to go next, please? Leena?
Hi, good morning. Mumzworld is a platform that serves mothers from the time they start to expect a baby till their children about 12 years old. We are not only providing services, but we're providing a solution for mothers across the region. So we're serving the whole GCC. We have the biggest catalog, specialized, very deep, and very, very specialized knowledge that helps a mom through the journey. And it's a very difficult and challenging journey. And I think one of the things that was very close to our heart is during COVID, if you were expecting a baby or you just delivered, I think it was the most difficult time for you because nobody wanted to walk into a hospital. And nobody, you had to go, you have to give your child a vaccination, you had to go see your doctor, but that's the last place as a pregnant woman you wanted to be. So we were very conscious of how the high anxiety of our customers and how important it is that we can support them as much as we can.
Thank you, Leena. Athbi, can I request you to come in next?
Hi, thank you for the introduction and thank you for inviting me to be involved in this webinar today. I'm Athbi, Al-Enezi, the co-founder of JustClean. JustClean is a laundry marketplace available all over the GCC. As well as a marketplace, we are a logistic company. We offer logistic support to all the laundries in the GCC, as well as a POS SaaS system for also laundries in the GCC.
Ammar?
Well, thank you very much for the great introduction, and I'm pleased to be here with the esteemed panelists. Finalrentals is a platform that brings traditional car rental companies online so that users can make a booking online by comparing the prices instantly. And we also offer last mile delivery to your home if you're booking for long-term period. We are available in UAE as well as the whole GCC. And recently we have launched also in Europe with our .eu extension. So technically you can rent a car around the world using our platform. Our main aim is to make the car rentals as easy as possible because in the last 10 years I've worked with companies like Budget, Avis, Europe, and others. And I realized that a digital player can really disrupt this industry, and that's how FR was born 4 years ago. As we speak, we offer more than 500,000 cars around the world, 120,000 only in the UAE. So that makes us the largest platform in the UAE when it comes to car rentals. And the idea behind this is to make it as easy as ordering food online. So that's the motto of Finalrentals.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for those introductions. My next question is for Ammar, Leena, and Athbi. As many of us are now looking at either starting e-commerce ventures or trying to pivot our existing businesses and go e-commerce or digitize our businesses, I think a core question that most startup founders have is how do I validate my idea? If the idea I have is good enough to sustain, to meet the market demands and grow. So can I ask Athbi to come in here? Because Athbi, like I said, you have the first of its kind marketplace for laundry services, and I think you had two things to do. One is you had to literally sell the concept and then actually go out and get a buy-in on the concept. So when you thought of the idea, how exactly did you validate the idea?
Well, at the beginning, you've just got basically what we did was me and my brother, when we founded the company 4 years ago, we basically we looked at what the offline market was, because it was very, there was not much laundry apps across the world, not even in the region. So we wanted to find a way of bringing the big offline, which is worth around 3 billion, increasing 10 to 9% just in the GCC, not including Saudi Arabia yearly. So we thought we'd like to see what's happening in the offline market and how to bring that online. Because at the end of the day, the customer wants to have the same kind of experience as he gets offline, but from sitting at home. I think it's very important to do a market study and understand the industry that you're going into very well, and what customers are looking for in that industry, and not to come up with too much assumptions. Become a customer yourself, and also spend a lot of time with the businesses that you're going to be supporting if you're going to become a marketplace like we are in the future, because there's a lot of feedback that you'll get from different businesses that will be on your platform in the coming future. I think it's very important to listen and look around and understand, as well as if you also have plans to expand across the GCC. Each market has different behavior, completely different behavior from other markets. It's similar in certain ways, but you've got to quite understand how it works in each country.
Right. So how long did you take to really validate your idea? What was the time frame, between the time that you thought of the idea and you said this is now good to go to market?
From the idea to launch, it took us around 6 to 7 months. But in that, when I say 6 to 7 months, there's a lot of work happening in that 6 to 7 months. There's the app being built, there's the business being registered, there's the ground study, there's the market study. I think we went for a soft launch at the beginning with friends and family, and then also with the business owners that we were supporting at that time. I think it took us up to 4 to 5 months after that till we really understand. And we did make mistakes. We did make a lot of mistakes at the beginning. We had to change immediately. So once we launched, I think we changed about 4 times in the space of first 5 months.
All right. Thank you, Athbi. Leena, if you can come in here and just talk us through your journey of validating Mumzworld when you started.
Luckily, we were moms and we were our own number one customer. The question is, you can have one idea but execute it in multiple ways. And I think it's not the idea but the execution. So you can launch a mother-baby site and go in a certain direction. When we launched, we went very heavy up on toys and apparel. But I think with experimentation and looking at mothers' needs and listening to our customers, we've changed direction a couple of times. But now we have a super comprehensive catalog, and we feel that moms are very knowledge hungry and they want the A to Z from a platform they trust. So it took a lot of iteration. So it's not the basic idea. The basic idea is there. You could do laundry, but you can then say you're going to do laundry for the business sector. You can do laundry for the entertainment industry or restaurants. It's really the direction of how you execute it rather than actual just taking the basic idea.
I couldn't agree more. It's the execution that counts. Ammar, if you can come in here and talk to us about FR.
Yeah, so the thing is, FR is actually living with me since almost 2008. So when I moved to UAE, my first project was to build a website for budget rent-a-car. And after launching the project, that's when the idea of FR came to my mind. But I sort of lived with it for almost 7 years and checking the industry, because I went on making websites for $50. I worked with the industry first. And I used to ask myself, what will be required when I launch FR? What will be required, right? And do I need a call center? Do I need this? Do I need that? So it took me a lot of time to understand, the whole ecosystem and dynamics of the car rental industry, right? So when I launched FR, the validation was already there. I knew that customers are there and they want to rent a car online. So the need is there. Now, how do we, make it, the whole value chain? How do we make it as easy as possible? And how do we partner with the suppliers? Because rent a car is a bit of a complicated game, because there are agreements to be signed when you go and take the car. There's insurance. There are questions to be answered, right? So I worked very closely with my suppliers. Thanks to them, we built quite interesting deals and value deals for the users. And when we launched, to be honest, in the first 3 months we did not get a single booking, right? we pivoted. You want to change. What's not working for the customer? Why it's a put-off factor? What is wrong? So we fixed that, and then it started happening. But for me, the idea was already validated. I knew that customers would want to rent a car online. So it was more like, how do you make it operationally, 100% foolproof, like Leena said, and that's what we work on even today, on a daily basis.
Correct, absolutely. Yeah. So in summary, it's really about having the idea, but quickly talking and experiencing, the consumer reactions and behavior, and making rapid changes, so you become more and more relevant and you gain more acceptance. So thank you. Let me now move to Sheikha. Sheikha, if you could just talk us through a little bit about, for e-commerce businesses who want to set up an Ajman free zone, what would it cost? What are the procedures? And what would be the advantages of setting up a business in Ajman free zone?
Definitely. Sowmya, we have focused in our processes and strategies to simplify business and amplify our investors and business that is looking to open in Ajman free zone. So our process of starting a business has been improved and digitized to start with a WhatsApp message. So whenever any investor are looking to start, he just need to text us on the WhatsApp or our live chat in our website. So by asking us that we need to start a business, our business consultant team take him through a journey of picking what type of facilities that they look to have, either a warehouse and office that suits their business, because some of the e-commerce need to import and export item and store it. And this is what makes Ajman Free Zone special, that we do have a variety of facilities that investors can pick. So they can have their office, they can have their sharing office, they can have their business center seat, they can have a warehouse if their business required. We are beside Ajman port, so if there is any item to export or import or ship internationally, that will make their journey much easier. So even if they would like to start with an office and then expand to have a bigger office or a warehouse, the option is there, and it's so easy to go toward that step. So this is when it goes to starting a business. It's fully digitized when it comes to payment, when it comes to completing the required document and submitting it. So the investor can start his journey from inquiring, starting a business, till getting his license without any need to visit Ajman Free Zone. And this was from a year, according to the vision of the UAE and Ajman itself. We had number of investors who started their business even out of the country without coming to UAE or visiting it in the stage of starting the business. And their visit comes to start their operation in UAE. So this is one of the things that we done it in the business setup and processing. When it comes to price, we always look to the market and what suits startups to start their business. So we do have a variety of packages. When it comes to an e-commerce company or setting a company, it may cost between 12,000 to 15,000, having all their elements and requirement. Even we have launched a package for pioneers who would like to start their business or their application or their IT system to support e-business, and that is only 5,000 dirham per year, which they can pay every quarter 1,250. And I think such a package has supported number of pioneers, especially programmers, who had started building the applications like 6 months ago, and now it's booming in the market. This is a support for youth and entrepreneurs in digital and e-commerce. The other option that we have been supporting investors, we have launched our Afza Connect. So Afza Connect is a platform that helps investors do business together, contact businessmen in the same field, and find their supply chain digitally. So any investor that is signed as Ajman Free Zone customer can get this benefit and link to suppliers locally and internationally. So they can find their suppliers worldwide through this platform, and they can do business virtually. That has been launched also a year ago, and thank God that it's a very good option for our investor in this time, that their business meetings and their business deals didn't stop due to this pandemic. We had, like previous week, some feedback from our investors that their business transactions are through Apps Connect, and their business is not affected. We were very happy hearing that, and this is one of the options that we had launched also for our investors. One more option that we find ourselves unique in, that we do have locations in Ajman in a different main roads. So we do have some of them near to the China Mall, as China Mall is managed by Ajman Free Zone, and that helps the e-commerce and the retail transactions. We do have some offices near to car market, which help businessmen in the field of car renting, car selling. We do have locations near to the port, and that helps importer and exporter to ship their items. So this variety and this mixture of ecosystem helps our suppliers move further. Mainly those the main elements that we do work, and we keep adding added value services according to the customer needs, according to the journey itself, to make it really a full cycle within the ecosystem itself.
Got it. So I have a question for you, Sheikha, and it's an interesting one here because it says, can you tell us how many businesses have started, e-commerce businesses have started in the last couple of months since the COVID situation has come in the Ajman Free Zone? So do you see, what are the numbers looking like? Do you see people optimistic about starting a business? What are the numbers there? Or what inputs do you have for us there?
As you know, Sowmya, there is a number of businesses that boomed in this period, and yesterday I have been reading an article that has been published by UAE Foreign Investment, that most of the businesses that are leading the market now has been started in a pandemic period, or in a certain situation. They get the opportunity and they catch it and they grow in that. So we are looking also to have businesses in this period that will shine in the coming period, but they started and they took a step to start now. When it comes to the numbers, if we do compare the e-commerce company from I'm seeing the question is 4 to 5 months previously, we had an increase more than 50% in our e-commerce companies who opened their business in this period. We had also a number of companies who expanded their business due to the high demand that came, especially the pharmaceutical type of business, the textile businesses. When it comes to food and beverage businesses, they had expanded their business, and they are looking even for bigger warehouses to store the shipped items from other countries. So to be honest, there is an effect in some businesses that they are finding a risk to start now, but we are trying to know their requirement. We have launched a very flexible payment installment for our investor who would like to start their business, and this supported number of business to take a decision and start now rather than waiting to the next stage. I think the incentives that UAE has been even launched in this period has supported investors to take a decision and start now rather than starting later to get this benefits, in this period.
Makes sense. Thank you, Sheikha. Moving on to my next question. So once the business has gone off ground, the biggest question that startups and entrepreneurs face is marketing. How do you build awareness, and how do you build sales for the business that is started? So I want to request Leena, Ammar, and Athbi to come in here and talk to us about what are the channels they used to reach out to their consumers. Were they only online channels? Did you also experiment with some offline channels? Did you experiment with partnerships? What seems to have worked really well for you? What has been your best go-to-market strategy from a marketing standpoint? Leena, would you like to come in?
Yeah. So I think it's very important to understand where the customer is. And although we are really a purely digital platform and we utilize all the digital opportunities to capture a customer, we also understand the mother's journey and where she goes offline and online. And it's very important, even during COVID, to readjust how we go to market. So today we are present not only online, but we are present through a lot of partnerships that touch the mother's life along the journey. So whether it's schools, it's nurseries, it's clinics, information portals. So really just understanding that journey and addressing it and giving the customer a 360 solution for that specific need they come to you for.
And Leena, I have a question for you, if you can take it right now, which is Mumzworld planning franchisee of their businesses beyond GCC market?
So we work with a lot of offline players at the moment through a lot of different agreements, but we are open to all kinds of growth.
Got it. Ammar, would you like to come in and talk about how, and I think yours is an interesting business because you need people, tourists and travelers, before actually coming into UAE to know about your brand. So what was your strategy on marketing, Ammar?
Yeah, that's a great point. So here, in UAE, if you look at car rental, it's a market like no other place in the world. So where people are renting cars who are coming into the UAE as tourists, and also expats also who are living here on a short-term or long-term basis, 6 months, 1 year, they also want to rent a car on a long-term basis. So these are two different people that you want to target to, right? So first thing first, when I launched Finalrentals, my marketing journey is very interesting because I had some savings, right? So I bought some billboards and stuff. I did some expensive stuff, right? And it didn't actually work out. So it made me realize that online business should be marketed online in a way where people can see you online and they can do the call to action and they can book online, right? So there's no delay in call to action. So then I work with some bloggers who work, internationally, European bloggers, people who are coming into the UAE, right? Mostly they come from UK, Saudi, and then Europe is a third, I would say, region where people come in and they rent a car. So I built partnership with bloggers to talk about Finalrentals. That was one strategy. Second thing about, in the UAE, I think as an entrepreneur, you are your own marketeer. So I go to many events and I talk about Finalrentals. I build the narrative that this is the platform that I'm building. Because one thing is very important here, with Finalrentals is that we are profitable and we have not raised a single penny. It's totally bootstrapped, right? So for me, it was very difficult to spend a lot on marketing. So I had to be very organic because I lost the money early when I launched, right? So, and the third thing that really helps us is we have a very aggressive SEO strategy. We take SEO very seriously, right? So there are 12,000 odd keywords, long tail, short tail, where we rank number 1 on page 1. So that brings a lot of traction to us. So for all the e-commerce businesses who want to bootstrap, I would say build partnerships as much as you can with bloggers and others. You are your own marketer. Talk about your product. Go out like Steve Jobs. Talk about it. This is what I've built. Be open about it. No need to hide behind the scenes because you built it. If you can't talk about it, nobody will talk about it. Simple as that, right? And then the third thing is take SEO very seriously. It's a very serious thing to do, and take it very seriously. It will bring you traction organically, and that's where we have seen success in the last 18 months or so.
That's a great point there, Ammar. To really sustainably get customer acquisition, SEO and organic traffic is something that goes a long way. So great point there. Athbi, you have a product that's pretty much relevant to every household. And like I mentioned previously, you require concept selling and then adoption. What was your strategy on marketing?
Well, first of all, I think it's at different stages of the business. I think as a startup, then in the middle of the term, and then at the end, like towards now, what is the strategies that we use for marketing? I think first of all, you need to really understand your customer, and it's quite tough for us because we're, as I mentioned, we're in every country, the GCC, so it can honestly vary from city to city. For example, we noticed when we launched in the UAE, the customer to attract a customer in Abu Dhabi is completely different to attracting a customer in Dubai or Al-Ain. And you have to use different methods and different the way you talk about your campaign as well. I think as they mentioned, people on this panel as well, that digital marketing is important. We spend monthly on digital marketing. We're always on digital marketing, but there's a thing about digital marketing. You've got to understand which is the platform that you get more acquisitions from and the cost efficient for you. In Kuwait, it could be Instagram or Snapchat. However, in the UAE, Facebook could also get you some very good users. However, in Saudi Arabia, that's a different matter as well. So I think it's understanding each market and understanding where to spend your money. However, I do believe you have to go offline as well in some markets. Some markets do very well with awareness. The brand perception as well of you being offline, the trust in the brand as well is very important. I think it all comes down to how much, so you've got to try everything. We've tried things in countries that have really worked for us. We've tried things that have actually failed for us, but we've also been surprised by certain things. For example, we've used influencers as well. Some influencers you wouldn't imagine that they'd work, but they did much better than some big names in the market. And also, I think it comes down to, so you understand your marketing options. There's no perfect marketing options. Very rarely you find that thing that really does do 100% for you. So you spend 100 dirhams, you get 100 users. I think that's very rare, but I think like at the end of the day, you've got to know your budget. What's your budget? What do you want from this campaign? What's your campaign? What are you trying to say from this campaign? From that, you can understand where you want to launch that campaign. Some campaigns have to go offline. So it's having the right campaign, understanding your budget and where to spend your budget based on historical data that you've got from the past trials that you've done. That's what I would do personally.
So that brings me to my next question. I think once the initial reach out and awareness building happens and you get your first few customers, remarketing or how you use first party data, how you cohort your consumers and how well you understand your consumers becomes important in how you sustain your business relationship with them in the long run, and also helps greatly in word of mouth and referral. So can you share with us a little bit about how you are using data to further your marketing efforts?
Definitely, because as I mentioned, there's two types of marketing. There's marketing to acquire new users, new downloads, new registrations. That's a whole different game to the game that you're actually using your data, your current customers, understanding your customers. I think like over a span of a year, you start to understand when the customer's going to order. So there's automatic notifications, automatic emails. What does that customer want? Who does he order from? When is he more likely to order? Does he order every 2 days or every week? So you drag the data that the customers that have not placed an order after a week, when his normal behavior is to be placed after a week. However, during COVID, it's been very tough for this because the customer behavior has changed in each market. So utilizing your data is quite tough because the readings are completely different to what they would have been 2 or 3 or 4 months ago. So I think it's utilizing your current data and knowing when they'd be placing an order and reminding them to place an order. We're actually working on a few things coming up in the next coming months, as well as certain things as scheduling. So we would remind the customer when he normally places an order, and if he doesn't, we would offer them a discount. So I think it's utilizing your data very well and understanding your customer and what his behavior is, and reminding him of your availability if he forgets about you for any reason.
Right, thank you. Leena, so you will have an interesting insight and point there as well, because you're tracking the mum from probably the point at which she is expecting through her journey of motherhood. So what is your experience in looking at data, understanding consumer behavior and leveraging that in a way that it adds value to the lives of your consumer?
So we are a very big catalog of multiple 120,000 SKUs. But what we do is we are like a boutique. We also do curated collections. So we will do lots of curated collections at the same time, targeting different moms. So we work on, say it's back to school, so that's the older child, first day in school. You know, you have rainy weather, cold weather. You do a lot of curated collections, and the idea is we know our mom is time-strapped and she's trying to do her job very quickly. So we create these nuggets and we target certain groups of moms for those nuggets. So a mother who has a newborn might have a basket that has a newborn item and a back-to-school item. So you immediately can categorize her for different campaigns. And we keep on running these parallel campaigns based on data all year round. And in fact, now that no one's traveling, our travel season campaign is gone. And it's one of our, basically, it targets every age group and it targets all our data cohorts. But I think there is a lot more data collected recently because there's a lot more action online. So it helped us a lot in terms of understanding the customer more.
Got it, got it. And Ammar, for you, of course, I think these must be really tough times right now, considering travelers are not coming into UAE. But again, how do you look at the data? While I'm sure there is a lot of focus on first-time discovery of your business, you know, how do you monitor the first-party data, and how do you look at data to add value to your consumers?
So when we launched, honestly, that was time when we didn't know what to do with the data, because okay, but then you learn, you know, on the way. So right now we have two different deep learning mechanisms. The first is we want to understand this customer rented a car, okay, and it's an economy car, so he might want to have another one next month. All right. So we have some automation built in where we want to extend the car rental again and again. Of course, a cheaper value if possible, you know, giving them a special offer, right? That is first part. Second thing is we also have deep learning modules within the website where we want to understand which model is the most popular model in a certain location, right? Because we have more than 450 locations in the UAE, including all the malls and downtowns and airports. So we want to understand which location is the hottest location, is most searched within the website, and which car is most liked, and some behaviors, which we also share anonymously with our suppliers. And we ask them, guys, we need to, let's make this offer better. Because people are looking for it, but they're not buying it. There must be a reason why, right? So in my case, we have many different data points where we store data and then we apply deep learning on it, and we want to make it more attractive offer for the customer. So we have started learning how to use data effectively in the last 18 months, and so far the results have been great because we have some valuable information for our suppliers also. That for example, this car has to be, let's say, delisted. It just doesn't work. And then this car is very important. You can order more. We can sell more. So it helps both ways. Even the customers, the better priced product. The suppliers, they know what to do. They can make their decisions for the next, let's say, quarter or a year, right? And for us, this data is gold. It's very important for us also to let's say, to create our marketing campaigns, to create more optimized pages to attract more traffic on that. So there are many data points.
Right. Thank you, Ammar. Leena, my next question from the audience is for you, where they ask, considering that many brick and mortar stores and physical retail stores are going omni-channel, are also going e-commerce, and with options like click to collect, how do you see a traditional model? I mean, how do you see a competitive edge for Mumzworld versus a business that was traditional initially and is, has pivoted to go e-commerce? So where do you see a competitive edge for yourself in this scenario?
I think at the end of the day, it's just the idea and the execution. So you can have a baby shop and you can have click to collect. The question is, are you able to offer the same selection, prices, and service? So you find that in the UK, for example, you have click to collect baby stores that actually failed. And then you find that actually Amazon online gear is growing at 10x. So there's no reason for the click to collect to fail except the execution. And there's no reason for Amazon, which is really not a very mommy friendly site, to do so well. But I think it's all about understanding your customers, focusing, and how you optimize your resources. So if you optimize your resources the wrong way, or you don't use your cash in the right way and go too deep in buying, then you will get stuck somewhere where the customer doesn't want that service. So the way I see it today is it's a nice service to have in terms of click to collect, but what's nicer is to be able to offer the customer everything in the mall and more internationally. So, and this is what we do. We actually today have about 50% of all the brands in the malls on Mumzworld, plus more, with a great service. Yeah.
So that's a very good point you brought in, Leena. As a digital first brand, I think the biggest asset you have to create your first impression is the user interface and the user experience, coupled with functionality. And it's a fine balance of functionality and user experience, because you're really not dealing with sprawling malls and beautiful locales over here. You're trying your best to create the best user experience and functionality within the real estate that you have, which is online. So could you talk to us a little bit about what was your journey in designing your user experience and also balancing that with functionality for Mumzworld?
So I think speed is very important, but it's an iterative process. So I can't say the design phase has ended, and you keep on looking at where the customer's stopping, what's converting him, what's not converting him. And really, I think as we improve the images and the information on the site, we're finding that video is a big player in conversion, and we are moving in that direction. But it's an iterative process. So 3 years ago, what we thought was a fantastic experience today isn't. And actually, before COVID, what we thought was an amazing experience is absolutely not today. So you need to keep on looking and analyzing your data and looking at your funnel to be able to deliver the experience. It's not a one-time process that delivers the right experience.
Athbi, can you talk us through your experience of designing the user interface and functionality, balancing it with functionality for JustClean?
Of course, to be honest, the design and the usability of the app is a non-ending game, as Leena mentioned. It's you have to keep up to date with all Apple, Android features that they keep updating month on month. You have to be. We want to always be part of the leading apps in the region in terms of offering these kinds of services. There's some gadgets that come out that actually work well, some that actually don't work that well. I think we do work a lot on this, and we have like builds coming up in the future that we know that we're going to release based on priority. And also we need to understand the customer. Where does he drop off? So we have data built into the app, so programs built into the app, so we understand the customer where he drops off. And if you notice that there's a page that a customer just starts dropping off on that page, there's a problem in that page. It's not going to tell you the exact problem with that page. You've got to try and figure it out and try and understand why that page is failing, and why they're not clicking through to continue to placing the order. I think it's understanding, looking around, what are the designs and the modern designs of apps are going into the market, and try to be up there with the top apps in the market.
Right. And Ammar, you're dealing with customers from all over the world, and I think you would be facing the maximum number of dynamics when it comes to understanding customer behavior on your app and on your website. So how do you deal with the user experience and understanding the consumer behavior across multiple regions and constantly evolving on the user experience and functionality front?
So like my colleagues just said that it's a process. It's never ending, and sometimes to achieve perfection is to just be in that journey forever and keep on changing. As per the needs and let's say tech challenges. So we also change almost every week. There's a build that's going on. But one thing that we want to make sure that we understand here is the car renter. So people who rent cars, I sort of understand them, right? Because I've been working with them. And then another thing is sometimes the customer tells you what exactly you have to do, right? So we were getting so many calls, and people are not talking about the location; they're talking about the car. Whereas if you see all the platforms in the world for car rentals, they start with the location. Okay, they talk about the location, but customer is not, doesn't care about the location. They want the car, the best car. They can pick it up. It's fine. So we have built, special sections where when a customer is renting a car on a long-term basis, there's a totally different UI for that. Okay, and when customers, renting a car based on location, it's a different UI. So we have multiple landing pages for these kind of orders and tasks, and we keep on improving on them. But like Leena said, that it's a process that it continues. So you have to just keep an eye on it and just keep on improving it, because what works today might not work tomorrow, and you have to keep on.
Yeah, you have to be agile and constantly at it to understand.
Absolutely.
I come to my, very, very important question when it comes to startups is, what's the right time to go to market, right? So, and also depending on the product stage, because what's important is that, you don't burn a lot of your cash just trying to build the best product before you launch yourself in the market. The idea perhaps is to start lean, and just make sure that you have a proof of concept in place, and that you're profitable, so that which direction you're going in. I think it's a little tough. When I work with startups, I think this is a question that I deal with day in and day out, where we are trying to really figure out what's the right stage of your product to go to market. So, Ammar, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So the thing is, when it comes to online businesses like e-commerce business or tech business, there hasn't been a time when it was easy to build a proof of concept. We have so many tools around there, and we can build a proof of concept. Building a website, the whole checkout process is not hard anymore. It's very easy. We have tools like Shopify, WooCommerce, and you can put it up in a day or two. It's fine. But that is not important. What important is, as an entrepreneur, see, as a startup, because why we are considered as entrepreneurs and not businessmen is because we look at the purpose, right? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? It's very important, right? I see so many startups, they start because they want to start a startup. There's no purpose behind it, right? So you have to know your purpose and you have to stick to it, right? Because building tech is not hard anymore. I'll be honest with you. There are tools, there are frameworks. It's easy to build. There's no problem building the tech. There's a purpose behind it, right? And how long are you going to stick to the purpose, right? So once you have that figured out, right, and then like Leena said, it's about operations and execution, like the idea, right? Because there are so many ideas where they don't work. But the thing is, if you look at ideas, if I take you 10 years back from today, and I tell you I'm launching something that is where people will create a profile and they'll upload their pictures and they'll tell me if they're single or not, and they'll tell me everything about them. That's Facebook today. But it does not make sense on paper if I go 10 years back. Same thing with Instagram. If I tell you I'm launching an app where people will upload pictures, you'll say, come on, man, nobody will use it. But that's Instagram today, right? So it's like how long you want to stick to the purpose and how much you believe in it, right? So we as entrepreneurs, it's not really about building the tech. Tech is fine. You can build it. There's no problem. It's about the purpose. How long you want to stick to the purpose? And with purpose comes everything. The UI, UX for the customer, feeling for the customer, the end user, the end-to-end process. So it's more about being an entrepreneur than I would say the technical part of it. Technical part will be done, no problem. It's the purpose, and that's what we focus on at Finalrentals.
I think that's so well said, Ammar. One of the biggest challenges that I see facing the startup ecosystem today is most startups are getting into a startup or starting a business. Most entrepreneurs are starting a business because it's cool to be an entrepreneur, or it's cool to own a startup. It's become a fad of sorts, but that's so dangerous.
I must tell you, if it's your bread and butter, it's not so cool when you don't make money.
Exactly. So it's so important to be driven by a purpose, and I think that will be your North Pole. If you have the purpose in place, that will be your North Pole to help you navigate through any situation. Perfect. Thank you. Athbi, I have a question for you. Were you profitable before you raised funds? What was your strategy? Did you plan to go lean, become profitable before you went to raise funds? What was your strategy with your product?
To be honest with you, we didn't, like, when we started as a startup, as an entrepreneur, I didn't really think about profit at the beginning. I just wanted to get the idea out there, proof of concept, take each step as it comes. Because like I mentioned, you can't expect what's going to happen in the first few months when you launch. You could actually fail because your proof of concept is not what people are looking for. So you've got to launch as quick as possible, get out there, because you're going to learn so much at the beginning. You would have thought that you know everything as an entrepreneur before that, but you realize that you know nothing. That's always the case. Even with new products that we're launching now, you'll never be perfect. We still don't feel like we are perfect. However, how we started the business was we took a loan. I took a loan of around 25,000 KD, so it's around 300,000 Emirati dirhams. I was still in a job. I used all that money at the age of 24 to launch this business, and I thought if it fails, I'll go back to my job and I'll be able to pay off my loan by the age of 30. I remember my mom wasn't too impressed with that, but doing that really did make us fight day in, day out to make sure that this business works. We didn't lend the money off anyone. We took our own money. We used our own money. And then we were very, very fortunate to receive a big investment from Faith Capital, led by Mr. Mohammed Jafar, the former owner of Talawat.com. And it just grew from there. And I think like every year you've got to have I don't think you're going to break even in a marketplace in the first 3 years, to be honest. If you're going to be spending the way we spend as well to expand, it's going to be very tough. However, you can try to break even in certain departments, such as our logistics. Okay, we spend so much on our cars, on our drivers, salaries and everything, and insurance on the cars. How many orders do we need from logistics to be able to break even in logistics? Okay, we've built a POS system for the laundries. I think if you focus on breaking even in certain departments in your company, you will eventually head towards breaking even in the main picture of the company. Because at the beginning, there's departments that are sales and marketing that are going out there to bring money, but then you've also got a lot of spending on support functions such as HR, finance, that are not money bringing departments. And so I think it's like you've got to have a strategy and a plan, and we do have a strategy and a plan of when to break even. We know it might not happen in year 1 or year 2. However, year 3 or year 4, this should happen on this date based on the data and based on the achievements we've put for ourselves. So yeah, I didn't expect to break even in the first 2 years. We did plan for the 3rd or 4th year, and it's going very well.
Got it. Sheikha, I'm seeing a lot of questions from the audience on details regarding legalities of setting up the business in Ajman Free Zone. So what I'd like you to do is just come in for a couple of minutes and maybe talk us through some important resources people can refer to look at the legalities and understand the legalities.
I went through the questions and find out that there is certain inquiries according to if they are a free zone company and how can they work in the market. Actually, according to the rule of the UAE and the nature of free zones, as all of you know, that the investor will get 100% ownership of his company. And this is supports non-local investors to own their business fully. When it comes to doing the business or operating, definitely free zone companies need to go through a distributor. When, let's say, for example, if you are a factory or you are a product developer entity, you need to sell your product through a distributor. So this is our advice always for who would like to start a business, to find out the supply chain of an e-commerce company, because it's not necessary to start an e-commerce fully platform and sell your items, but you can create your products and sell it through the well-known platforms, especially when it comes to food and beverage, textiles, games, toys, all other stuff. You can open your company. The document that is required is only your passport copy and your partner's shares or documentation. Otherwise, nothing is required as a prerequisite of such a business. We go through the business advisors, as I mentioned. If any interested, they can go through the website. There is a live chat or even the WhatsApp. and they can send us an inquiry. The business setup advisor will go through their proposal and through their study of their business, and they will guide them how they can start in this stage, and how much investment that they need to start a business. Actually, we have a number of businesses, as I mentioned, they have established their company with the 5,000 package, and then they 5,000, and then they invest more like 20 or 30,000 on developing their product or their website, and that's all capital or investment. But always we do advise that find out what's you are keen, as my colleague mentioned, what's you are keen to do in that business, because it's not only about opening a website and doing an e-commerce business. There is a huge investment behind sales and marketing in such a platform. So it's better to look what's missing in other e-commerce platforms and tie with them, complete the business, and then you can open either an industrial license, either a trading license to trade some items from other countries, or you can do a services license, which you can be providing logistics or providing even marketing services, digital IT services, and recruiting services like HR. So there is a variety of businesses the businessman needs to look what's missing there and complete the supply chain itself. When it comes, I found out there is some question asking about the duration of opening a business and how much they need time to open a business. So by submitting your initial information, it's almost like one day process to get your license out. When everything goes smooth, like you have the full documentation that is needed, you have your study in place, you have your passport copy and all legality information. So it just takes 8 working hours. Let's say it's between 1 day to 2nd day, with all government approval, like your company name approvals, your security approvals, your other elements approvals. That takes 8 to, let's say, 12 working hours. Some of our investors get it in 3 hours. It's according to your readiness and your how are you ready to start directly. And when it comes to payment, it's online. You can pay it even midnight. You can pay it anytime, and you will get your license ready in that moment.
Got it. Thank you. Just a quick question for Leena. I see some questions regarding payment security and how do you, especially since the transactions that are happening in huge numbers, what are the points to keep in mind for startups and e-commerce businesses to ensure payment safety and to protect the consumers from fraud?
So we haven't had any incidents of misuse of data of customers, but we don't keep the credit card data to enable the transaction. So there's no question there. We have, and I think even Amazon doesn't keep the data to enable a transaction in the UAE. So there is no question of your card being used without your authorization, unless someone got the details from some other place. We have had some incidents of people using other people's cards, especially we get very weird orders from Africa, but our payment gateway has the ability to alert us to any fraud transactions or suspect transactions. But, inevitably over the past, 7 years, we've had a few instances where the payment gateways went through and they were able to buy off the platform, but they were very few. Our filters are able to catch them.
Got it. Ammar, Athbi, would you like to come in and just give some of your tips on how you can ensure payments are secured and data is secure? Ammar, would you like to come in first?
Sure. So first thing first is if you want to keep it 100% secure, right? You let the job of payment gateway be done on their side, right? If you're using their API or if they're using their payment page, right? So you will not have any risk on your side, right? Because if you're not PCI compliance, right? Technically, you cannot even take payment on your page if you're not PCI compliance, right? So you have to send the user to the payment gateway and come back. That is one way of doing that, and then payment gateway handles everything. whatever is happening. If they have some suspected IPs, there are some blocked card numbers, bin numbers, they will know that these cards are suspected and they will stop those, right? Second thing is, I always suggest to all the entrepreneurs, when you are dealing with tokens, payment tokens, right? So please try to keep payment tokens in a database where it's already encrypted, right? And the encryption shouldn't be MD5, it should be bcrypt, right? To the highest level. So you will not have the risk of someone getting the data. Even if they get the data, they cannot do anything with that. So these are the two things. First thing first, let the payment gateway do the job, right? Don't cross the PCI compliance barrier, right? That's one thing. Second thing is, if you want to be the PCI compliance, then do not store tokens without making them encrypted. I think these two things will help you having less fraud.
Yeah, this information really helps, Ammar. Athbi, do you have something to add here?
Yes, of course. We follow high standards in security on the application anyway, in terms of our coding and everything. That's one of the main things we do. However, as my friend Ammar mentioned, he said leave the payment gateway to the experts, because this is what there's some big players out there that you can use, third-party companies. Let them deal with that, because it is a nightmare. Some countries we've worked in the beginning, we did, like, if you want to do it yourself, especially expanding over the GCC, you've got to deal with each bank in different gateways, different coding. The coding's backdated. So I would suggest to find a good third-party company to deal with, that they deal with all your payment gateways, and you just encrypt the code.
Yeah, thank you. Now I come to the last question of this panel discussion, which is, what are your key learnings, Athbi, on navigating through the COVID times? How have you adapted yourself to deal with the situation? What are the changes that you've made to your business to stay relevant and to get through these times?
To be honest, it's a very tough time for all businesses, to be honest with you. It's unexpected as well. And I think at the beginning, there's been stages of COVID as well. At the beginning, I think it was like a shock. So you had to quickly adapt. I always mention that we're in the GCC, so what was happening in Kuwait was completely different to what was happening in Saudi Arabia, to Bahrain, to the UAE, even Riyadh to Jeddah. Different things were happening. So how could you adapt quickly? Where the laundry's closed, where they open, what are the working hours? I think that was tough, the first stage. And then I think after you got through that shock of quickly learning how to adapt, is finding out ways, what does the customer want at the moment? We launched something called Just Essentials. Just Essentials is a part of the app at the moment that you can buy all essentials such as sanitizer, face masks and stuff to support the people at the retail price. We also launched in Kuwait sanitizing, so someone would come around and sanitize in that. We have investment in other apps that are also offering other things in the region. We've invested in other cleaning apps in the region, as well as we're about to launch a whole new product to support a certain way. I don't discuss that at the moment because it'll be launching next week, but we've been focusing a lot on building a whole new technically business in this meantime, as well as finding ways how to pivot with our current business and support and change and adapt quickly to the situation in every country and every city.
Leena, what have been your key learnings in getting through to this situation? You did mention a few points when you started the conversation, especially considering moms cannot go to hospital, expecting moms cannot go to hospital, and you've really stood there to support them through this time. But what are your learnings on the business front, and how have you adapted?
We had a very limited window to adapt. So we were, as our colleague mentioned, it was a matter of waking up in the morning, making the most of what resources you have today, what road closures, what you can ship, waking up the next day, adjusting again. And I think what we learned is that really good communication internally makes a hell of a difference. And the question, people were feeling very uncertain. People were worried. Some people live with their parents. They had their own, dilemmas and problems. So you had to make sure that you are communicating very calmly and clearly about every activity you do, because every day you were doing something different today than you did yesterday. And that was very hard. So, one day you said to your drivers, go out and deliver. And then by 4 o'clock, you're saying, no, everybody come back. You can't deliver. So it was very challenging, but communication, it's a key to any successful project. but being able to communicate in a very agile and fast way to all your team members became very key in this circumstance. And I think going forward, it taught us a lesson about how important it is to be very clear and detailed in the communication.
Absolutely, absolutely. And did you see any major shifts in the consumer behavior on the website?
Yeah, I mean, people went to basics, people bought essentials, and people were panic buying at the beginning. But even after the panic buying, I think parents stuck at home with their children for the first time for so long. They were also panic buying things to entertain their children. So it started with, okay, I'm panic buying essentials to protect myself. And then it moved to I'm panic buying because I have all this time to fill. And then we found that in the middle of all of this, even the new mother was looking for things for herself to, to fix her hair. So it's all about how do I take the outside world into my house? So we saw a lot of changes, but it changed. Like the first 2 weeks were different to the second 2 weeks. And we have to adapt our curated list to match that.
Got it. But you didn't see, you didn't see the demand come down, did you? I mean, of course, the delivery is another question, but did you see the demand change, come down, rise up, whichever way?
We did see an increase in demand in certain categories, but we also saw a lot of categories struggle. So overall, online, people are saying online really benefited, but actually you had to create a huge shift in your business and make big investments to be able to match the new demand. And I think all my colleagues have done the same. They've had to make some investments to be able to address the new demand in the new world.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Ammar, I think you have quite a situation at hand right now. How are you dealing with that?
So basically, 7 weeks ago, we got an email notification that car rental is non-essential business, so it has to be closed now. Okay, so 99% of our branches were closed and everything was closed, right? So my team was panicking, like, what's happening? So that's when I learned that business is not just all about selling all the time. You can also take some time out of it and improve it. So I told my team, guys, nothing is changing. We are working every day. Let's now go back and improve our product, improve our algorithm, improve our backend automation. Let's work on it. So when everything will open again, you'll see a better version of Finalrentals. So it has been very quiet because I understand the legality behind it. Car rental is a non-essential business, and second thing is it can be highly contagious also for someone is renting a car. So we also mentioned on our website, now it's taken off, that stay home, don't rent a car, honestly speaking. So that's how it was. So I learned a thing or two about when your business is considered as non-essential, what do you do then? So
improve your business, work on improving.
Exactly.
For the next phase.
Yes.
True. Awesome. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our panel discussion. Micah, can I request you to come in here? In the meantime, if the panelists want to just go through some of the questions addressed to them, and if you think there's any question that you'd like to answer right away, feel free to do that.
Yeah, obviously we would like to say thank you to all of our panelists and Sowmya for that insightful session. Also, thank you once again to Ajman Free Zone and Sift for sponsoring the webinar. As Sowmya said, that is the end of our session for today. Thank you all so much for joining. The webinar will be accessible via our website for on-demand viewing once we close the session. If you do have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us via our website or connect with the speakers on LinkedIn. We have our next Seamless webinar on Wednesday, 20th of May at 11 o'clock with the topic Improving Customer Engagement with Technology. Again, thank you again for all the speakers, to all our attendees, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.